watching Jin in the freshman freestyles and in the cipher, it's really easy to tell how much he stands out from the rest of his class. And I think it's definitely a function of different things. One of it is because of his age. He is at least 6, 7, 8 years older than most of the other people in his class. Most of them are in the early 20s or late teens, and he's, I think, 27, turning 28 this year. He's the oldest one. I think Stefan Don's a year younger than him, but generally he seems to really exude a kind of maturity that a lot of these younger rappers don't seem to have yet, and that's not necessarily a dig at them or anything like that. Or it doesn't, and at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean that Jid is better than them. But while watching the different things and seeing them all side by side, he definitely stands out because of it. And I was thinking to myself, I was thinking like, it's kind of bizarre, not really bizarre, but out of the ordinary for a rapper to really come into his fame in his mid 20s, mid late 20s. I mean, the Never Story, which I just listened to a couple of times today, came out in when he was around 26, going 27, and I was thinking like, because I think historically rappers seem to usually come into popularity in the teens or their early 20s. This is not necessarily just limited to the recent crop of artists, but you get the same thing with the late 80s with De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Wu Tang. They're all like teenagers or early 20s. There's Big. All these people were very young when they were coming to popularity, and the only person I could think of when I first heard the Never Story, I was getting in my head internal comparisons to Section 80 by Kendrick Lamar, and in my head I thought that Kendrick Lamar would have been older when that came out, because he's not, he's like, right now in the current state of things, when Kendrick Lamar became popular, he was clearly a league above the rest because of his level of maturity to some degree, and he was like an older guy despite being relatively new. But I found out Section 80 came out when he was 24, so he was still kind of young when Section 80 came out, and Good Kid Mad City would have come out the next year, I think, so he would have been 25, 26, so it was quite young, I guess, for him as well. At least younger than Jid, and Jid's like turning 27. The only rapper I can really think of off the top of my head while listening to the album is Kanye West, and I don't necessarily think I want to compare College Dropout to the Never Story, because for me personally, the the one I prefer more is it's kind of obvious. But anyway, Jid, he is interestingly because he's interesting because he's an Atlanta rapper like a lot of these new up and coming ones, but he doesn't necessarily contain the Atlanta trap sound that seems to define a lot of his fellow Atlanta rappers, at least at this particular juncture in time. Maybe it has something to do with his age, or maybe he just feels like he doesn't seem like maybe his music is too mature for the more, perhaps not as focused or not as intellectually rigorous maybe of these new younger rappers. He doesn't play into the minimalism, for example, that a lot of Atlanta rap, I would think in my own mind, seems to have a lot of. I mean, you think of all these Migos and all these, I don't know, Young Thug or something. I mean, when I was listening to this album, the first person I thought of again was Kendrick Lamar, and then I was reading more about him, and I found out that he's in the same, what is it called, the production company. Well, what is it called? Whatever. He's like under the thing of the label of J. Cole or something like that. J. Cole is someone who I don't necessarily listen to a lot, though I could definitely see the comparisons to him and J. Cole. But let me think. So yeah, J.I.D. The Never Story. I was listening to it a couple of times, and what immediately struck me from him is obviously his voice. It sounds kind of different. He has this very high pitched voice, which initially when I first heard, I wasn't sure how much I would like. I mean, I watched the freshman freestyles and I was impressed by it, but there's something a little putting me off by the voice, though I kind of got used to it. Uh, I guess I don't really necessarily want to go track by track. This are my general thoughts on the album. I felt like I enjoyed it, and it was very interesting how he was putting a lot of effort into the lyricality of it. There's like a sense in which many of the rappers today don't have any more emphasis on the lyrics. I think some of them may even have said that specifically, but he seems to have a lot of respect for lyrical ability and a respect for perhaps the history of the genre, because even if you compare, like, I talked about all these younger rappers in the 80s and 90s or something, they all had very, and a lot of the ones who became popular were quite popular because of their lyrical content, which is not necessarily the same as what we're hearing in this new generation of things. Not that that makes it any worse for them now, but Jid is definitely stands out because of those things. And uh but I guess what my issue, I don't want to say it's an issue, but for me personally, what I didn't what's for some reason I can't seem to fully engage with the album. I'm not sure why. I think it may be because I feel like I still kind of don't fully know who Jid is from the listening to the album. He does a lot of very cool rhyming patterns and schemes. He switches up his flow halfway through the song a lot. But I try listening to the lyrics, and I kind of, some of them are more personal than others, but some of them I'm listening and I kind of, and I see, and I hear like, it sounds really cool when he does all these songs, flow switch ups and all of this stuff, but I don't necessarily feel like, I don't want to say, like, it doesn't seem like they don't seem to always flow thematically with each other. I guess that's the way I can put it. I mean, not that this is supposed to be something that should be done, but sometimes I'd be listening to the edge of my seat to what he's about to say, and I follow through this whole thought, and the thought doesn't seem very coherent, or at least not coherent in a way that would, bring you through the whole song. So it's sometimes, I guess there's a lack of, I don't know. I don't want to say lack or anything, because what do I know about anything? I only listened to this a few times, and maybe I have to listen to it more. But in my general initial responses, it felt like it wasn't thematically consistent throughout. I'm not sure exactly what the themes are. I mean, I guess I could think of some of the themes right off the top of my head, but I don't quite know why it ends on louder and opens with doo-wop. Although doo-wop does sound quite good with that everyone is a star or something line, which reminded me of just reminded me of the Pimp a Butterfly with the line in Kendrick Lamar. For those who listen to that album, you know what I'm referring to. But yeah, I mean, I liked Never. I liked, I think Division, Hereditary. I thought Underwear was funny. Somebody, I mean, but just generally, normally I would think, like, well, this is great because, everyone's going to improve in the future, but it's hard for me to necessarily, no, I guess I can't really say that someone is not going to improve, or not if someone has limited potential, because I guess my own comparison earlier for someone his age was Kanye West, and his every album of his up to now he's like changing his style, so I guess there is no age limit to this. So I do hope that he's able to create more great albums, and he's able to really improve in his craft, because he seems like he's someone who's very dedicated to his own craft, and that's what I kind of pick up from watching his interviews with XXL. He seems someone who's very dedicated to his craft and wants to actually give something to the rap genre and scene and game. And musically some of the beats do sound cool, but not necessarily something I would say that sounds unique, or I mean, it's unique in its own way, but it's not like my mind wasn't blown or anything, which is not something that it has to always happen. But again, I like it. I like the album. I like Jid as a rapper. He's definitely stood out very much from the pack because of his attention to lyrics, and his he just knows how to flow very well, and I think it's kind of impressive. But yeah, I mean, J.I.D, I'm a fan. I'm looking forward to his other music, and I definitely will check out whatever he has to come out with next, because he's definitely the most serious of this crop of musicians, and you need some kind of balance when you have all these minimalist trap songs that are about kind of nothing. So it's cool. I'm looking forward to his music.